7 epic animated life adventures you've never seen before. Shocking plot twists await. In a world where colors swirl and twist like shadows in the night, there are tales hidden beneath the surface, waiting to explode into life with unbelievable vibrance. Picture it, a small town, its streets dull and quiet, but right beneath the surface, something extraordinary is about to unfold. Epic adventures, bound by the unlikeliest threads of fate, are just around the corner, mystifying and thrilling every heart that beats within the town's borders. Take Alice, a girl with a wild imagination and sparkly green eyes that glowed like emeralds. One day, she stumbled upon an old, dusty book in the attic no one ever visited. The spine cracked with age, and the pages whispered stories of animated creatures that leapt from paper to reality. At first, it just looked like words, but when the moon hung low in the sky, everything changed. The pages shimmered, and in a blinding flash, Alice was standing alongside a talking rabbit in a world filled with candy-colored trees and candy-striped clouds. But wait! Just when the excitement took over, a chilling grin emerged from the shadows. A monstrous silhouette lurked, always just out of view, lurking like a hungry beast beneath the veil of colors. Soon, the whispers of the town were rampant. Rumors emerged that Alice's newfound friends held an ancient secret. Stories of betrayal, courage, and unexpected alliances started to swirl in the air, igniting the townsfolk's imaginations. Witnesses claimed they saw characters from the book, bizarre creatures and fantastical beings roaming the streets at dusk. Their vibrant colors and intense eyes left a mark on everyone who dared to glimpse. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As whispers turned to gasps, something crashed nearby, breaking the tension like a dogged wave against the shore. The air thickened, her heart racing. She had to know the truth. What kind of danger loomed over her sugary new friends? And just as she turned to head home, a glimmering, vibrant creature darted past her. The mystery deepened. What lay behind the shimmering veil of wonder that promised both excitement and peril? In that moment, amidst swirling colors and hushed gasps, Alice felt the pulse of an adventure about to unfold. What was the secret waiting to be uncovered? The moon hung low, casting long shadows that danced eerily across the cobblestones. Alice stood frozen, eyes wide with a fierce mixture of fear and excitement. The vibrant creature that had darted past her was now hovering just a few feet away. A tiny mouse with electric blue fur and sparkly wings, it flitted back and forth, its gaze urging her to follow. "Come on," it squeaked, its voice a melodic chime barely heard above the rising wind. Taking a deep breath, Alice stepped forward, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She followed the little creature, heart pounding like a drum, as it led her down twisted paths and through an archway of glimmering stars. Nothing felt real. Each step she took sent a thrill through her, like she was breaking the rules of reality. Suddenly, the landscape shifted. The candy-colored trees morphed into towering sentinels, their branches laden not with fruit but with writhing, shadowy tendrils. Alice's breath hitched. A chill ran down her spine. It was here the cloaked figure she felt lurking ever since she opened that book, now emerging from behind the twisted vines. It was tall, with hollow eyes that glowed red like embers, watching her with an unsettling intensity. "Who are you?" Alice's voice trembled, echoing into the silence. A smooth, sinister voice emerged from the shadows. "I am the keeper of secrets." The figure stepped forward, revealing glistening scales that shifted in color. "You have unlocked a world filled with treachery and delight. Choose wisely, Alice, for the fate of your friends hangs in the balance." In that moment, Alice understood. This was no ordinary adventure, This was a test that could shatter both her dreams and the world she had come to love. The little mouse fluttered nervously beside her, a stark contrast to the looming dread. "You shouldn't be here," it squeaked. "You weren't meant to find this." "Meant to find what?" Alice felt her chest tighten, an ache building deep inside. The stakes had escalated in a heartbeat, and uncertainty clawed at her throat. What if she had disturbed something ancient and destructive? The keeper's eyes narrowed. "The secret is that your new friends are not what they seem. Trust can turn to betrayal in the blink of an eye." It extended a long, bony finger toward the mouse. "Allies may be enemies. And enemies? They may be more vital than you know." Alice's stomach dropped. The white-knuckled grip of fear tightened around her heart. What was her wild imagination getting her into? A sudden roar of wind erupted, sweeping through the grove. The shadows closed in, twisting the very fabric of her new world. "Run!" the blue mouse shouted, its wings flapping frantically. "We have to warn them." But the keeper held its ground, an ominous presence that lingered as Alice spun around, disoriented. She could feel the distance to her friends growing larger, every step a struggle against an invisible force. In her mind, the stories echoed, tales of betrayal and bravery that loomed over her, each one threatening to come to life. Alice's heart raced as she sprinted toward the illuminated path glowing beneath her feet. The mouse soared beside her, urging her to hurry. But even as she fled, a thick sense of dread enveloped her. Could she trust the creatures she had come to love? Or would one of them reveal a hidden darkness she could hardly fathom? The weight of the keeper's words hung heavy in the air. Just outside of the shimmering glade, where colors danced unrestrained, a shadow lurked, waiting to pounce. What if she wasn't the only one searching for answers? With every ounce of courage, Alice took a deep breath. Secrets, looming like storm clouds, swirled in her mind. Would she discover the truth before it was too late? Ahead, she saw the vibrant creatures gathered, their colors fading as they felt the stakes tighten around them. The moment was electric. The air crackled with suspense. But Alice didn't know if she was too late. "What do I do now?" she whispered, standing at the edge of chaos, her heart pounding wildly. And somewhere in the unfolding darkness something stirred, hungry for its turn. Alice burst into the clearing, her breath hitching at the sight before her. Her friends' creatures she had laughed and played with just moments ago stood in a tense circle, with expressions that were no longer playful. Just beyond them, in the shadows, unseen eyes seemed to track her every move. "Guys," she called, the tremor in her voice betraying her fear. They turned, their vibrant colors dimmed, as if the very essence of joy had been siphoned from the air. "Alice." The chubby rabbit with the fluffy tail stepped forward, a frown furrowing its brow. "You shouldn't have come back here." "Why not?" she stammered, the keeper's haunting words echoing in her mind. "What is going on?" As if on cue, the air thickened, a palpable weight that pulled at her chest. The animals glanced at each other, their eyes flickering with uncertainty. "We need to talk," the rabbit said, disappointment lacing its voice. "Things are changing." "Changing?" Alice felt her pulse quicken. "What do you mean?" The mouse fluttered beside her. "This isn't just a game anymore. We've opened something we can't close." But before Alice could question what they meant, a booming laughter echoed from the shadows. "Ah, the dreamer has returned." A tall, dark figure stepped into the moonlight, an uncanny grin stretching across its face. It was a towering wolf-like creature, for dark as pitch, glistening under the moon's glow. The glimmer in its eyes promised mischief, yet also something far more sinister. Silas the rabbit breathed, a flinch running through its body. "What do you want?" Alice shot back, the strength of her voice surprising even herself. "Want? Oh, little girl, I want everything." Silas circled them, his presence suffocating. "Your friends are hiding secrets from you. Aren't they, little mouse?" He stopped, leaning close with a snarl, baring sharp teeth. The blue mouse's wings drooped, fear painted across its face. "We thought you were loyal, Silas." It squeaked. "Loyal? Loyalty is nothing but a tool. To be used, then discarded." Silas laughed, a sound that chilled Alice's core. And you, Alice, you're just a pawn in a game far bigger than you can imagine. Alice's hands trembled. A pawn? What game? But you have a choice to make. Silas's eyes flashed, dark and foreboding. Join me, and you'll learn the true nature of this world. Or remain with them and face the consequences of ignorance. Several gasps erupted from her friends. They huddled closer, their colors flickering dimly. The tension thickened like fog, tightening around Alice like a noose. She felt their fear seep into her, suffocating her resolve. Suddenly, the rabbit stepped forward, defiance flickering in its gaze. Don't listen to him, Alice. He's trying to turn you against us. But the wolf leaned into the words, a sly smile curling his lips. And what do you know of trust? Are you ready to gamble on the bonds of friendship? I tell you, my dear, it's a dangerous game. Alice felt the ground shift beneath her. She was standing at a crossroads, choices hanging like ripe fruit ready to plummet. The weight of the keeper's warning pressed on her chest, a reminder that betrayal lurked in unseen corners. Could her friends really be trusted? The atmosphere crackled with tension, the balance of power hanging by a thread. Time slowed, and Alice felt an unseen force tugging her towards Silas's promise. Escape? Acceptance? Or the courage to fight against the shadows of doubt? Just then, an unexpected voice emerged from the edge of the clearing, a whisper cut through the chaos. Alice, choose wisely, for your heart knows the truth. Before she could respond, everything went dark. Fates intertwined with secrets, the world spun away, leaving Alice stranded between choices, and a face she never thought she'd see again loomed in the darkness. Would she recognize the truth before it devoured her whole? Alice's heart raced as shadows closed in. The face that flickered in the darkness was familiar yet alien, each feature sharpened by fear and uncertainty. It was the Keeper, the very being that had warned her about this cursed place. Remember who you are, Alice, the whisper echoed, fading like mist. In an instant, the blackness receded. She found herself back in the clearing, but everything had shifted. The towering silhouette of Silas loomed before her, his grin wider, hunger gleaming in his eyes. The other creatures stood frozen, their colors dimming further, leaving her feeling isolated in a swirl of uncertainty. What did you do? Alice shouted, adrenaline coursing through her. What did you take from me? Take? Silas chuckled, the sound a dark melody twisting through the tension. I gifted you the chance to choose your path. You're not just in this world, it's in you now. Fine hairs prickled on Alice's skin. She felt the pull of darkness within like a whisper begging for acceptance. It made her want to flee, yet also reach out. You're lying, she said, but doubt crept into her voice. The rabbit looked at her, desperation etched on its floppy ears. Alice, trust us. Please. This isn't who you are. The pleading in its voice tugged at her heart, grounding her momentarily. I could show her the power she longs for, Silas interjected, not breaking his gaze from Alice. Imagine, Alice, an escape from the weight of responsibility. Embrace your true nature, and you'll never want for anything again. But at what cost? Alice retorted, breath hitching. Silas stepped closer, his cold breath chilling her. The weight of his aura pressed against her like a physical force. Join me, and you'll have anything your heart desires. Power, freedom, loyalty, whatever you dare to dream. Temptation curled around her mind, promising warmth and acceptance. But the rabbit's frantic eyes pierced through the haze, reminding her of the bonds she shared with her friends. What about them? She shouted, gesturing towards the hushed creatures staring with wide eyes. What will happen if I choose you? Will they suffer? Silas shrugged, that wicked smile still plastered on his face. Suffering is a part of the game. But think of the world you could create. Only the brave can forge their destiny. The tension crackled. Each creature was on edge, waiting for her decision, one that felt as weighty as a falling star. Alice's heart raced between two worlds, the familiar warmth of her friends and the alluring darkness Silas offered. Suddenly, the clearing shook, as if echoing her turmoil. The trees shuddered, leaves falling like tears. A thunderous roar erupted from the shadows, rattling the very ground beneath her. "What now?" the mouse squeaked. "Chaos has already entered," Silas shrugged. "But you can master it. Choose me, Alice, and chaos becomes your ally." In that pivotal moment, the ground rumbled again. An unseen force pulled at her, and Alice felt torn between love and desire, trust and temptation. Who could she really trust? With her heart pounding in her chest, Alice closed her eyes, searching for clarity. A flickering image of home, laughter, the warmth of her friends flashed before her. But just as quickly, Silas's voice lured her back into darkness. The air shimmered with uncertainty, and the decision loomed over her like a storm. Would she surrender to the unknown or fight against it? The weight of her choice hung heavy in the air. Who would emerge from the shadows when the smoke cleared? The world outside had gone silent, waiting for her next move. The darkness thickened, eager, whispering temptations of power, but was that truly what she needed? With silence enveloping them all, time felt frozen. Alice had to decide, before the darkness reclaimed what should never have been let go. Alice's breath hitched in her throat, mixed with the electric tension swirling around her. The darkness was alive, slithering into her mind, testing her resolve. She felt weightless, hanging in the balance, oscillating between two extreme futures. "Choose wisely, Alice." The rabbit's desperate voice sliced through the thick air, grounding her before Silas's dark invitation could take root. "We can't lose you." And yet, what did it mean to win? What lay in wait within the clutches of chaos? The pulse of the clearing throbbed, mirroring her doubts, each beat competing with her frantic heart. "Do you truly think they defollow you into darkness?" Silas leered, his grin stretching uncomfortably. "They'll cower while you hold power. Look at them. Little more than extras in your story." A sharp pain shot through her chest. Alice glanced at her friends. Their expressions, fear mingled with hope, hit her like a punch. It wasn't just her life at stake. It was theirs too. Silas took another step closer, his shadow enveloping her. "What gives them meaning in a world where they cannot thrive? You have the chance to reshape this reality. Let go of the weights they impose on you." Then, a murmur rippled through the creatures. The mouse creaked. "You're stronger than this, Alice. This isn't just about you." Pain, urgency, and love converged, forming a whirlpool of emotions within her. Alice felt the darkness clawing at her, but the flickers of her home, laughter, and friendships flickered back, desperate to light her path. "Remember who you are." The whispered reminder from the keeper danced at the forefront of her mind, igniting a spark. "Silas," she said, steadying herself. "What you offer is a fleeting mirage. True power doesn't come from fear. It comes from love, from standing with those who matter." Silas faltered just for a moment, his dark energy rippling with disbelief. "So, you would choose a weakness over strength?" In an instant, the ground trembled again, and Alice steadied herself. "Let us find out what happens." The thunderous roar erupted once more. The shadows writhed as if alive, pushing and pulling, desperate to reclaim her. In that moment, she half thought of running, of surrendering to the darkness that promised the ignominious allure of power. But her pulse quickened, not out of fear, but from something else, a swell of gutsy defiance. "I choose them," she declared, her voice booming like thunder. "I choose love. I choose friendship." The clearing exploded with light, radiant colors bursting forth where darkness had held sway. Silas's figure shrank, his menacing smile twisting into a mask of rage. "You fool." Before Alice knew it, the creatures around her erupted with life. The rabbit leaped forward, joy illuminating its wide eyes. "You did it, Alice." But the ground shook once more violently this time, as the darkness unleashed its fury. It wasn't finished, and neither was Silas. "This isn't over," he cried, his voice warping, echoing like a ghost lost in a storm. Chaos began to reform, tendrils of darkness gliding towards her once more. Spectral hands clawed at her, threatening to pull her back, but a newfound strength surged within her. "I won't let you take me." Alice screamed defiantly, positioning herself against the encroaching shadows as warmth enveloped her. Light burst forth from her heart, illuminating the clearing and sending the creatures into a dance of hope. But in the spiraling shadows, she could sense Silas inching back, reforming, plotting. "What comes next?" Alice whispered, anxiety creeping in like fog. As the light fought against the dark, questions loomed over her choices. Would the warmth last? Would her friends be safe? With the shadows swirling and Silas's sinister promise hanging in the air, Alice braced for what was about to come. But even in her heart of hearts, she couldn't shake the fear that chaos was only just beginning. The air crackled with tension as Alice stood her ground, light radiating from her heart, but Silas wasn't finished. No, he had been playing with her all along, and she could sense it. His form twisted and morphed as the shadows danced around him, several dark arms extending outward, like a puppeteer's strings ready to ensnare her friends. Power can be intoxicating. Silas roared, his voice echoing like distant thunder. You think love will save you? It will only bind you to your failures. Their fears will drag you down, Alice. She clenched her fists, fighting the weight of his words. Could he be right? For a split second, doubt flickered in her mind, causing the light around her to dim. "Alice!" shouted the rabbit, snapping her out of the haze. His eyes, wide and frantic, held a question. Could she truly save them? Just then, a fierce smile broke through the murky atmosphere. It was the mouse. "Alice, we believe in you. Remember the power of your choices." His unwavering gaze lit a fire within her. Yes, she was afraid, but that fear had turned into determination. She wasn't just here for herself. She had the strength of her friends coursing through her veins. "I want to let you take us," she hissed through clenched teeth. With each word, she poured her heart into the struggle, each pulse of the light ahead pushing the shadows back inch by inch. The darkness recoiled but quickly regrouped, surging forward like an angry tide. "Foolish girl." Silas's eyes blazed with fury. "Take them. It will be your fault they suffer for your choices." The shadows shifted, weaving patterns of horror. Alice's friends stumbled, faces contorting with fright as the dark tendrils closed in around them. "No!" she screamed, a primal fear rattling her bones. She felt the weight of each one of them, how much they meant to her, and it sparked a new, fierce light within her. She stepped forward, meeting the slowly thickening darkness with her resolve. "You might think you own this world, but I am not afraid of you." As Alice focused her energy, a brilliant flare erupted from her palm, illuminating the entire clearing. Silas shrieked, a vile, ghastly sound, as he tried to shield his eyes. "No! Begone! You will regret this light." The shadows blasted back, surging toward Silas, who struggled to maintain his form, but the light was too strong. "You think your light can destroy me? I am darkness incarnate." But with each heartbeat, his confidence faltered. The light pushed him further into the recesses of the forest, and Alice felt the balance shift, if only slightly. Then it happened, a moment of unsettling stillness. The ground beneath them vibrated with a horrible intensity, threatening to swallow them whole. There was a pause, an eerie silence that stretched on, making everything feel too fragile. What now? Alice thought wildly. The shadows were retreating, but the fear clinging to her heart screamed louder than before. She felt bravado creeping back, cheering her on, but was it too late? She risked a glance at her friends. They were holding their breath, suspended in hope and despair, just as she was. Suddenly, the ground heaved violently, and Alice lost her footing, flailing for balance. Could it be this was only the beginning of an even graver darkness? The shadows writhed back, silently laughing as they swirled around her. Silas may have lost some power, but something deep within Alice told her this battle was far from over. "What now?" she gasped, her heart racing. An unexpected crack formed in the earth beneath her, a void of dark nothingness that pulsed like a heartbeat. It called to her, an echo of Silas's promise. "Find me." Alice joined me, but she felt the warmth of her friends pressing beside her. The rabbit's reassuring nudge, The mouse's brave stance, they tightened their circle around her. Together? She whispered, barely holding on to hope. And then, an inexplicable force surged through them, shaking the air like a tidal wave. It was an invitation to embrace their unity, a chance to forge ahead or retreat in fear. But which path would they choose next? With Silas lurking close, the stakes were higher than ever. The darkness beckoned, but Alice held on tighter than ever to the flickering light. Did love offer enough strength to face the shadows that lay ahead? And could they truly defeat the chaos that threatened to swallow them whole? The ground trembled beneath Alice like a creature waking from a deep slumber. Fear clawed at her throat as the crack in the earth widened, revealing a dark abyss that pulsated like a heartbeat. Could it truly be Silas's doing, the very embodiment of darkness trying to draw her in? The oppressive air wrapped around her like a vice, squeezing the last shreds of confidence from her heart. Alice. The rabbit's voice cut through the looming dread. You've faced worse. Remember the garden? Remember us? Yeah, Alice. Look at us. The mouse chimed in, his tiny voice filled with passion. Together, we are strong. Alice's heart surged at their fight, but the creeping shadows were relentless. Silas's laughter echoed, a cold, chilling sound that sent shivers racing down her spine. You think camaraderie will save you? Watch how quickly it shatters. With that, his dark tendrils lunged, latching onto her friends. The rabbit yelped, the mouse squeaked, engulfed by shadows that twisted and constricted like serpents around a prey. Alice struggled against the horror, fighting desperately to break through the suffocating grip of her own fears. Let them go, she shouted, gathering every ounce of her light. A flare erupted from her palm, illuminating their terrified faces for a brief moment. She could see the courage sparking in their eyes, a reflection of her own resolve igniting. But then, the shadows thickened, swirling ominously around her, eager to overtake. Alice blinked, her vision blurring as dark whispers clawed at her brain. Join us, embrace the darkness, they hissed, lacing their words with promises of power and certainty. All she had to do was take a step closer. Don't listen to them. Her heart raced as doubt lurked at the corners of her mind. Could she really trust in love? Could they defeat Silas together? Focus on the light, Alice. The rabbit's voice rang loud in her mind like a lifeline. Choose love. We're with you. Nodding, she steadied herself. Fragments of laughter and joy flooded her thoughts. The garden where they had danced under the stars, the warmth of the sun's embrace wrapping around them, the shared meals, and the moments of pure happiness. They were more than friends. They were a family formed out of shared struggles, rising from their own darkness. With renewed purpose, Alice surged forward. I will not give in to fear. You don't understand love, Silas. You've never felt its true power. The light exploded from her, a brilliant cascade that swept through the clearing, illuminating the suffocating shadows that tried to constrict her friends. Silas's shrieks grew louder, anger mixing with fear. No, this cannot be allowed. As the dark tendrils retracted, Alice felt an intense surge of energy. The rabbit and the mouse broke free from their constraints, standing united by her side. They shared a brief glance, a silent vow that they would face whatever darkness came next together. Rallying the power bubbling within her, Alice felt her light grow stronger. It coalesced into a radiant shield that pushed against the encroaching shadows. Yet a new shiver ran through her. Something deeper resonated, a feeling that perhaps Silas was not alone. Just then, a chilling whisper wound through the air. Dear Alice, this isn't over. There are greater forces at play. Out of the shadows emerged a figure draped in darkness, tall, imposing, and filled with an aura that twisted her heart in two. Silas stood behind them, feebly struggling to maintain his form, but even he looked up in fear. Alice realized she had only touched the surface of this war, and a fresh wave of dread washed over her. Who are you? She demanded, pushing against the uncertainty clawing at her resolve. The figure merely smiled, a cruel twist of lips that sent cold shivers down her spine. You will learn soon enough, Alice, that the greatest shadows are not created by darkness, but by the betrayal of trust. The ground shook violently, dust swirling, and Alice's world shifted as a new surge of darkness materialized around her, a force more sinister than Silas himself. What had she stumbled into? As her heart raced, she clutched the warmth of her friends once more, an anchor in the approaching storm. Could they uncover the truth behind the shadows? And why did it feel like they were standing at the precipice of something far more ominous? The shadows coiled and shifted as if alive, creeping closer to Alice and her friends. The ground beneath their feet groaned like a wounded beast. A suffocating dread filled the air, thick and choking, making it difficult to breathe. Each heartbeat thundered in Alice's ears, ringing with the urgency of their situation. "What do you want?" she shouted, her voice firm despite the tremor within. "You want to win here." The dark figure only chuckled, a sound that cut through her like ice. "Oh, little Alice. This is just the beginning. You think you understand darkness? You've only scratched its surface." Silas, appearing smaller, panicked, glanced up from behind the looming figure. "No, she is stronger now. You cannot unleash that on her." His pleas ignited a flicker of hope in Alice's heart. "Strength? Oh, dear Silas," the figure interjected smoothly. "Her strength is defined by the trust of each friend by her side. And trust is such a fragile thing." The shadowy cloak flicked out, trailing tendrils towards the rabbit and mouse. "Don't you dare." Alice lunged forward, defiance burning in her chest. The last thing she would allow was the betrayal of what they had fought to protect together. As she gathered her light, it shimmered brilliantly, forming a barrier around her friends. "We trust each other. That's our bond, and it won't break." The malevolent figure stepped back, momentarily thwarted. "This will only prolong the inevitable," they hissed, their voice low and venomous. Then, with a flourish, they reached into the shadows wrapped around them, pulling forth a sharp, jagged piece of darkness that glimmered with an unsettling light. Alice's stomach churned. It pulsed like a heart, a physical manifestation of the darkness they faced. "What is that?" The figure's grin widened, showing teeth that gleamed like obsidian. "A piece of your own fears, Alice. The weight of your doubts, now real and soon to be your undoing." The world lurched, and she stumbled, her vision blurring. Visions of what could be betrayal, loss, isolation flooded her mind. Each image tagged weighty chains of despair that wrapped tightly around her heart. Doubt clung to her now, potent and suffocating, as if she might drown in it. "Hold on, Alice," the rabbit shouted, cutting through the fog of her fears. "Trust, remember? We're all in this together. We believe in you." The mouse echoed the sentiment, holding Alice's hand tightly, offering warmth against the icy grip of dread. Gathering her breath, she focused on their warmth and strength, pushing against the tidal wave of darkness. The hopes of the past, lingering laughter, and the promise of brighter days formed a battle cry within her. "You can have us." With one focused thought, she released her inner light, amplifying it until it flared again, casting away the creeping shadows that tried desperately to consume them all. In that moment, the figure faltered, their confidence wavering. "What? Impossible!" they screeched. The ground convulsed violently, but Alice held her ground, channeling every ounce of faith she had. Yet another sinister laugh erupted, swelling the darkness around them. "But, Alice, what if your next challenge isn't a fight against me but a fight against yourself?" As the words sliced through the atmosphere, darkness swirled tighter, morphing into shapes, faces glaring personas of her past, memories long hidden, filled with regret and whispers of shame. Conflicting emotions surged within her, battling to consume the light, but Alice breathed deeper. "Get out of my head!" she screamed, defiance redefining her. But the figures pressed closer, echoing her past mistakes, her failures. "You believe in friendship? Look what you left behind." The echoes intensified, alarming her as she wrestled to push them back. But what if they were right? What if trust was indeed a fragile thread? And just when she thought she might succumb, the rabbit's voice pierced through the noise, steady and unyielding. "You know who you are, Alice. That's your strength, believe it. Alice summoned the light within her, igniting it further, a beacon. Against the consuming shadows. Their faces began to fade, swept away in the brilliance of her rising conviction, but the figure recoiled, still standing firm. You may resist me for now, but soon everything you hold dear will be tested. Even your faith. With that promise hanging like a storm cloud above her, Alice braced herself. She felt her friends gather closer, a united front against the darkness. Beyond them loomed the abyss, more daunting than ever, and uncertainty gnawed at her spirit. What fate awaited them? What hidden truths lurked in the shadows they had yet to confront? As a new wave of dread swept over her, she turned to her friends, knowing the next step would be their hardest yet. Would they dive into the storm together? And at what cost? The ground trembled beneath their feet, and Alice's heart raced as she surveyed the dark landscape closing in around them. The shadows whispered like snakes, their haunting hisses mixed with the echoes of her past that seemed to creep back into her mind. Breathing heavily, she clutched her friends tighter, feeling their warmth against her anxiety. Stay close, Silas urged, his small voice strong in contrast to their surroundings. We're not alone. But how do we fight something that knows our deepest fears? Alice questioned, her voice quivering with uncertainty. What if we don't overcome it? The dark figure loomed above them, its outline rippling like liquid night. Ah, sweet doubts. They're delicious. It taunted, relishing the fear it sowed. Your little love fest is heartwarming, but when the shadows call, all bonds shatter. No, Alice shouted defiantly, her words fueled by her friend's unwavering presence. We can do this together. As if drawn by her conviction, a wave of inner light surged within her, and she felt it ignite. Look, she shouted, pointing toward the approaching darkness. If I can light the way, we can push it back. Her light sparkled, brightening the dim space, casting away small pockets of shadow. Silas and the mouse joined in, gathering whatever strength they had left in their hearts. Together, they formed a fragile yet radiant barrier shimmering with the intensity of their friendship. But the figure snarled, its grin twisting more sinister than before. You think that's enough to banish me? I'll show you the cost of your trust. With a guttural roar, it stretched its arms wide, the darkness swirling violently around them. The shadows spun faster, a cyclone of despair threatening to engulf Alice and her friends. Visions of loss clawed at her consciousness, loved ones fading away, laughter echoing empty halls, moments of regret crashing over her like waves. Each memory felt like a dagger to her heart, each anchor to the past pulling her deeper into the abyss. Focus, Alice. The rabbit yelled, struggling to hold his ground. Think of the moments we've shared, the times we've fought together. That's what matters. Breathing through the tempest of emotions, Alice fixed her thoughts on her friends and the fierce loyalty that bound them. The memories surfaced, laughter over silly meals, warm hugs, the way they'd always believed in her, even when shadows loomed large. I won't let you take this from us. She roared, and with a surge of determination, she thrust her light forward. It burst from her in a blinding flash, weaving through the darkness and striking back against the shadows. But the dark figure wheeled in fury, weaving through the attack and sending a bolt of fear that plunged straight into Alice's heart. Your strength wavers. It's only a matter of time until you crumble. Her friends gasped. Silas' ears drooped, and the mouse shivered in fear. They were losing ground, the darkness closing in tighter, and Alice felt her resolve beginning to slip. What if we can't win? She thought, the seeds of doubt sprouting again. No, her inner voice screamed, louder than the shadows. They need you. Just as despair threatened to drown her entirely, something within her flickered in response. A spark ignited, a fierce resolve that reminded her that fear cannot drive them apart. In that moment, she locked eyes with her companions and saw the same fire mirrored there. This battle was more than one against the figure. It was a fight to protect each other, to affirm every choice they made as a team. Together. Alice shouted, forming a powerful rallying cry as they linked hands. Just then, the figure paused. Its dark eyes narrowed, and the shadows froze momentarily, as if considering the strength of their newfound unity. This isn't over it hissed, retreating slightly in the face of their illumination, but Alice knew it wasn't truly vanquished. They had pushed it back, but the struggle had only begun. In the eerie silence that followed the tumult, Alice turned to her friends, her heart pounding in her ears. What comes next? How? Do we face it fully? Grim determination filled the air, a steely resolve set in their eyes. Deep within, however, doubt stirred once more, tainting even the air of victory, leaving Alice with a gut-wrenching question. What other fears would the darkness exploit, and how far could she truly trust herself? As they stood at the edge of an unknown abyss, they needed to gather their strength for the battles yet to come. And just like that, the shadows returned, swirling ominously, with the figure now veiled in darkness, awaiting their next move. What were the secrets hidden in the dark depths? And could they withstand the storms that were still to come? Alice stood in the heart of swirling shadows, her breath hitching as the darkness shimmered ominously around her. The chilling laughter of the dark figure echoed in her ears, a sharp reminder of the looming threat. But despite the overwhelming fear threatening to pull her under, a quiet resolve flickered to life within her. "We can't let it take us," Alice shouted, her voice strong as she rallied her friends beside her. The rabbit nodded, determination reflecting in its eyes. The mouse trembled but held onto Alice's hand, looking up with a spark of hope. "Together, we can push through." As the shadows inched closer, weaving fingers of dread, Alice felt her heart thunder in her chest. Memories of laughter and shared moments enveloped her, warming her spirit like sunlight. She knew they had fought too hard to give in now. "Think of the garden," she yelled, picturing the laughter that had once filled it, the joy of friendship that had blossomed there. The power of their collective bond surged within her, each heartbeat loud and steady, pumping defiance. "We believe in each other. That's our true strength," Alice exclaimed, feeling the light flicker at the edges of her consciousness. A brilliant glow started to rise, illuminating the dark landscape with vibrant colors. The rabbit and the mouse joined in, their hearts synchronized with hers as the light flared into existence. Shadows recoiled, snapping and hissing like angry serpents, but the more they pushed back, the brighter Alice's resolve shone. "We want to be torn apart," the dark figure hissed in frustration, claws extending outward as it attempted to snuff out the light. "You think you hold the power? Your bonds will betray you." Silas's laughter rippled through the air, attempting to wrap around their hearts like chains. "No," Alice cried defiantly, shielding her friends with her energy. "We are not afraid. If anything, our trust only makes us stronger." With that declaration, a wave of warmth erupted from her core, flooding the surroundings with brilliance, pushing back the darkness with every ounce of love they held for one another. The darkness twisted, shrieking and howling as the competing energies collided. The figure roared, anger morphing its features into something monstrous. "You will regret this. Love is nothing but a fleeting moment. It can't shield you forever." In the chaos, a mighty surge came from Alice, as even the trees seemed to lean in, joining the chorus of her resolve. "We have faced fear before. We can do it again." She took a step forward, moving with conviction, the shadows swirling around her feet but unable to hold her down. "Together, we are unstoppable." With newfound strength, she held her friends tight, illuminating their bond like fireflies bursting forth in the darkness. The force of their joyful energy surged forward, spiraling like a tornado, and she could feel the dark figure trembling in its grasp. The tendrils retracted, breaking apart as the light expanded, pushing Silas and his swirling shadows further back. But just when victory seemed within grasp, the dark figure leveled a chilling gaze, its eyes burning with malice. "You think you can defeat me? I will always return. Darkness is eternal, and trust will betray you when you need it most. Then let it come," Alice shouted, her voice ringing out across the darkened landscape. "We'll shine brighter each time, because we have each other." As those empowering words echoed through the air, she thrust her hands forward, releasing an explosion of light so bright it pierced the very fabric of darkness. In an instant, the shadows dissipated, retreating into nothing as the creatures of the night shrieked and fled. The world around them transformed in blinding brilliance, colors richer than she had ever seen painting the trees and sky. Alice felt her spirit soar as they stood united, looking at each other with newfound joy. The dark figure, finally unable to withstand the power of their love, faded into the distance, threatening but powerless. This isn't over. It howled, but the gleam of hope that filled the air rendered its voice faint and fleeting. Alice took a deep breath, feeling a weight lift off her chest as the battlefield transformed into a serene garden. "We did it!" she cried, joy bubbling in her chest. The rabbit hopped joyfully, and the mouse danced in circles, surrounded by the warmth of victory and trust. Together, they had faced down every fear, stood at the brink of darkness, and forged their own path forward. "Together, we'll face whatever may come," Alice declared, feeling the pulse of adventure in her heart. They had conquered the shadows this time, and she knew that love, trust, and friendship would always be the strongest light they could hold against the unknown. As the stars above twinkled like shimmering jewels, a new chapter awaited them, one filled with vibrant possibilities, where fears were just footnotes in the epic tale of their lives. Hand in hand, they laughed, stronger than ever, ready for endless adventures in the colorful world they had saved together. But one final promise lingered in the air: the shadows may return one day, but they would face it together, united against whatever came from the darkness, lighting up the world one adventure at a time. Now that you've experienced this thrilling finale, don't miss out on more exclusive stories. You need to subscribe now and hit that red button so you never miss a moment of our epic tales. Smash that like button now to show your support and feed the algorithm. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. What did you think of the ending? Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support truly makes a difference.